Introduction to the Intergalactic Academy. In a galaxy far beyond the comprehension of most Earthlings, nestled among swirling nebulae and radiant stars, lay the Intergalactic Academy, a prestigious institution known for its rigorous training of future leaders, warriors, and scholars from various planets. The Academy was a melting pot of cultures, species, and knowledge, where beings from across the cosmos gathered to learn about one another's worlds. On this particular day, excitement buzzed through the grand lecture hall. As students took their seats, holographic displays flickered to life around them, showcasing images of distant galaxies, strange creatures, and advanced technologies. At the front of the hall stood Professor Zier, a tall, blue-skinned alien whose presence commanded respect. His many years of experience as a historian had made him a revered figure among his students. "Welcome, esteemed students," Professor Zier began, his voice resonating through the hall like a melodious echo. "Today is a special day as we have a guest from Earth, a planet known for its extreme environments and resilient inhabitants." Emma Hartman adjusted her backpack nervously as she stepped forward into the spotlight. Chosen for her unparalleled survival skills, she was Earth's representative in this intergalactic cultural exchange program. The hall was filled with curious gazes. Some eyes were wide with wonder, while others glimmered with skepticism. She felt both exhilarated and intimidated by the diverse forms surrounding her. Some students had scales that shimmered like gemstones. Others sported feathers in vibrant hues, while a few had multiple limbs or eyes that sparkled with intelligence. "Thank you for having me," Emma said, her voice steadying as she addressed her audience. "I'm excited to share my experiences with you all." The professor gestured for her to continue. "Emma will enlighten us about Earth's unique challenges," he announced proudly. Taking a deep breath, Emma began her tale. "Earth is a beautiful but dangerous place," she explained. "Its environments can be harsh and unforgiving." As she spoke about the Amazon rainforest, its dense foliage teeming with life, both fascinating and deadly, the room fell silent. She described how survival there required constant vigilance against venomous snakes, aggressive insects, and powerful predators like jaguars. Each detail painted a vivid picture that captivated her audience. One student, a reptilian creature named Chlor, raised a clawed hand. "Is it true that humans can navigate these jungles without advanced technology?" he asked incredulously. Emma nodded earnestly. "Yes. Many humans have learned to live and thrive in such environments using only basic tools and their knowledge of nature. It's all about understanding the dangers and respecting them." The aliens listened intently as she recounted tales of survival in various ecosystems, from the scorching heat of the Sahara Desert to the freezing winds of the Arctic tundra. Each story was met with gasps of amazement. Her experiences were not just about surviving, but also about human resilience and ingenuity. Professor Zier smiled at Emma's storytelling prowess. "Thank you for sharing these incredible stories," he said warmly. "Your experiences highlight the strength and adaptability of humans." Then Alara, a winged student with iridescent feathers, stood up excitedly. "These stories are incredible, but they also sound like thrilling adventures. Would it be possible for us to visit Earth and experience some of these environments firsthand?" Professor Zier raised his hand to calm his eager students. A trip to Earth would indeed be perilous, but could also provide invaluable insights into this remarkable planet, he stated thoughtfully. "We will need to prepare thoroughly." Emma felt a surge of excitement mixed with trepidation as she realized she would be guiding her alien classmates through Earth's most perilous landscapes, a role she had never anticipated but was now eager to embrace. "Very well," Professor Zier concluded decisively. "We will organize an expedition to Earth under Emma's guidance. Prepare your stories and yourselves. This will be an adventure like no other." As class ended, Emma couldn't help but feel proud yet anxious about what lay ahead. She had captivated her alien classmates with tales of Earth's dangers, but now they would witness those challenges firsthand. The following days were a whirlwind of preparations as students gathered resources and made plans for their journey to Earth. Emma found herself at the center of it all, sharing crucial information on survival techniques tailored for each environment they would explore. Emma's heart raced at this unexpected suggestion. It could be dangerous, but also an incredible learning opportunity. The classroom buzzed with excitement at the prospect of an expedition to Earth. In a grand meeting held in the Academy's main hall, Professor Zier addressed everyone gathered. Our journey to Earth will be challenging but rewarding under Emma's guidance. Emma stepped forward confidently as she began briefing them on what they needed to know about Earth's environments. We'll be visiting 3 main locations: the Amazon rainforest, Sahara Desert, and Arctic tundra, each presenting unique challenges. She displayed a holographic map highlighting their destinations. In the Amazon rainforest, we will face high humidity, dense vegetation, and numerous dangerous animals. Staying alert is vital. The students listened intently as Emma continued outlining what they would encounter in each environment, how they could find shelter in the Sahara's scorching sun or layer clothing against Arctic winds. Kor raised his clawed hand again. What about food? How will we find sustenance in these harsh environments? Good question, Emma replied with enthusiasm. In the Amazon, there are plenty of edible plants if you know where to look. In the desert, we'll need to carry our own supplies, but can find edible cacti. In the Arctic, fishing will be essential. As preparations continued over several days, Emma noticed growing enthusiasm among her classmates despite their differences. They were united by a common goal: learning how to survive together. Finally, departure day arrived. Anticipation hung thick in the air as they boarded Star Voyager, the Academy's state-of-the-art spacecraft equipped for their journey ahead. As they lifted off into space toward Earth's atmosphere, Emma felt pride swell within her chest. She was leading her new friends on an adventure that would test their limits while teaching them invaluable lessons about resilience. The starship broke through Earth's atmosphere and descended toward dense green expanses. The Amazon rainforest awaited them below. Emma's heart raced as she gazed out at sprawling jungle terrain filled with both beauty and danger. A world she knew intimately yet was eager to share with those who had never seen it before. As they landed softly amidst towering trees and thick underbrush, Emma led her classmates out into this vibrant ecosystem, filled with sounds that echoed all around them. Bird calls mingled with rustling leaves, creating an orchestra unlike any other. "Welcome to the Amazon," she announced proudly as they stepped onto soft, damp ground beneath their feet. "Stay close and be alert," she instructed firmly yet encouragingly. "We'll start by finding a suitable campsite before nightfall." With each step deeper into this lush wilderness, filled with hidden dangers waiting just beyond sightlines, Emma felt both exhilarated by what lay ahead, while knowing that real challenges awaited them just around every corner. First adventure: the Amazon rainforest. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the Amazon rainforest, Emma Hartman felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She had successfully guided her alien classmates through their first day in this vibrant yet perilous environment. Now, as night enveloped the jungle, she knew that the real challenges were only just beginning. The students had set up their makeshift campsite in a small clearing, surrounded by towering trees and thick underbrush. The air was heavy with humidity, and the sounds of the jungle came alive. Chirping insects, distant animal calls, and the rustling of leaves created an orchestra of nature that both thrilled and unnerved them. Emma gathered everyone around the flickering campfire, its warm glow contrasting with the coolness of the night. "Tonight, I want to share more stories about survival in the Amazon," Emma announced, her voice steady despite the rustling shadows around them. "But first, let's talk about what we've learned so far." The students nodded eagerly, their eyes reflecting the firelight. Clore, the reptilian student with scales that shimmered in various shades of green, leaned forward. "I've never experienced anything like this before. The jungle is beautiful, but also terrifying." Emma smiled at his honesty. "That's exactly right. The Amazon is home to countless species, some harmless and some dangerous. Understanding which is crucial for survival. Alara, the winged student with iridescent feathers, fluttered her wings in excitement. What about those monkeys we saw earlier? Are they dangerous? Not usually, Emma replied. They're curious creatures and mostly harmless, but it's essential to respect their space. If they feel threatened, they might react defensively. As Emma shared her experiences from previous adventures in the Amazon, close encounters with jaguars, and navigating through sudden downpours, the students listened intently. Each story was filled with lessons on resilience and adaptability. Once, Emma began, her voice lowering to create an air of suspense. I found myself caught in a sudden downpour while exploring deeper into the jungle. The river levels rose quickly, and I was swept away by the current. The students gasped collectively. It was terrifying, Emma continued. But I remembered to stay calm and think clearly. I focused on finding something to grab onto, a branch or a rock, to help pull myself back to safety. Clore's eyes widened with awe. You really had to fight against nature itself. Yes, Emma said earnestly, but it taught me that staying composed in a crisis is just as important as physical strength. As night deepened around them, Emma encouraged her classmates to share their thoughts and feelings about their experiences thus far. They took turns expressing their fears and excitement about navigating this new world together. I never thought I would be scared of plants, Alara admitted shyly, but some of them look so strange. Emma chuckled softly. That's a valid concern. Many plants here can be harmful if you don't know what you're dealing with. For example, this one over here, she pointed to a plant with large leaves. It's called defies. It can cause irritation if you touch it. The group exchanged glances filled with newfound respect for their surroundings. Suddenly, a loud rustling noise interrupted their conversation. The students tensed up instinctively as Emma stood up cautiously, signaling for silence. Stay quiet, she whispered urgently. With her senses heightened, she approached the source of the noise slowly while her classmates held their breath. Out from the darkness emerged a small group of curious monkeys chattering excitedly as they swung from branch to branch. Emma laughed softly, relieved. It's just some monkeys. They're curious but harmless. The tension melted away as everyone relaxed, marveling at the playful creatures that had intruded upon their campsite. As they settled back around the fire, Emma decided it was time for some practical lessons on survival skills specific to the Amazon rainforest. Tomorrow morning, she announced enthusiastically, we'll venture deeper into the jungle to learn how to find food and identify safe plants. What kind of food can we find? Clore asked eagerly. There are many edible plants here, Emma explained. Some fruits are safe to eat if you know how to identify them, like acai berries or Brazil nuts. But we must also be cautious of poisonous varieties. The students shared excited glances at this prospect of foraging for food in such an exotic environment. As night continued its reign over the jungle, Emma felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had successfully navigated their first day together, a day filled with challenges that had brought them closer as a team. The next morning arrived with a cacophony of sounds echoing through the trees, birds singing their morning songs and insects buzzing energetically. Emma awoke early and prepared breakfast over the campfire, while her classmates slowly emerged from their shelters. After a hearty meal of dried fruits and nuts, food they had brought along from their journey, they gathered around Emma for their first lesson on plant identification. Today will be all about observation, she said passionately as she handed out small notebooks for each student to take notes on what they learned. They set off into the thick underbrush under Emma's guidance. She pointed out various plants along their path while explaining which were safe to eat and which were not. Over here, she called out as they reached a cluster of tall plants with broad leaves. This is cattail. The roots are edible if cooked properly. The students took notes diligently while observing every detail she shared. Alara hovered above them gracefully on her wings, while peering down at a patch of vibrant flowers nearby. "What about these?" she asked curiously. Emma approached carefully before replying. "Those are beautiful but toxic, aconitum. It's essential not to touch or consume them." As they ventured deeper into the jungle, each student became more engaged in identifying plants and discussing potential uses for each one they encountered. After hours of exploration, they stumbled upon a small stream flowing gently through the forest floor, a perfect spot for resting and gathering water. "Here's another vital skill," Emma said as she knelt beside the stream. "It's essential to know how to purify water before drinking it." She demonstrated how to filter water using cloth or sand before boiling it over a fire, a technique that would prove invaluable during their expedition. With newfound knowledge filling their minds like sponges absorbing water, they decided to take a break by the streamside where they could enjoy some snacks while reflecting on what they had learned so far. Clore broke into laughter as he attempted to catch fish using only his hands, a skill he had seen humans perform on Earth documentaries. "I think I need more practice," he exclaimed after several failed attempts, but still grinning widely at his own antics. Emma chuckled at his enthusiasm, but reminded him gently that patience was key when it came to survival skills in nature. As afternoon approached and shadows lengthened across the forest floor, Emma gathered everyone together once again for one last lesson before returning to camp. "Now that we've identified some edible plants and learned how to purify water," she began seriously, "it's time we discussed safety precautions when encountering wildlife." She explained how certain animals could pose threats if provoked or cornered, especially snakes or large predators like jaguars, and emphasized always being aware of one's surroundings while hiking through unfamiliar territory. With each lesson learned under Emma's guidance came an overwhelming sense of camaraderie among her classmates. They were no longer just alien beings from different worlds. They were now friends united by shared experiences in this extraordinary environment. As dusk settled over the rainforest once again, the vibrant colors transforming into deep blues and purples, the group returned to their campsite feeling accomplished after another successful day filled with adventure and learning opportunities. Gathered around their campfire once more under twinkling stars above, each student eagerly shared stories from home while discussing plans for tomorrow's activities. They felt an unbreakable bond forming between them all through these shared experiences amidst nature's beauty and challenges alike. Second adventure, the Sahara Desert. The students of the Intergalactic Academy had barely settled into their makeshift camp under the rocky outcrop when a sudden gust of wind whipped through the Sahara Desert, sending grains of sand swirling into the air. Emma Hartman's heart raced as she quickly assessed the situation. "Everyone, take cover behind the rocks and shield your faces," she shouted, her voice barely audible over the howling wind. The students scrambled to follow her instructions, ducking behind the outcrop as sand stung their skin. Emma crouched low, her mind racing through survival strategies that she had learned during her own experiences in the desert. "Stay calm," she urged, glancing around at her classmates. "This is a sandstorm. They can be fierce but usually pass quickly. Just keep your heads down and protect your eyes." As they huddled together, Emma felt a surge of responsibility wash over her. She was not just a guide. She was their lifeline in this harsh environment. The storm raged on for what felt like an eternity. But eventually, the winds began to die down, and the air cleared. "Is everyone okay?" Emma called out once the storm subsided. One by one, her classmates emerged from their makeshift shelters, brushing sand off their clothes and shaking their heads in disbelief. "That was intense," Clore exclaimed, his scales glistening with grains of sand. Alara fluffed her wings, trying to shake off the remnants of the storm. "I've never experienced anything like that before. How do people survive such conditions?" Emma smiled at their curiosity. "That's exactly what I'm here to teach you. Sandstorms are just one of many challenges in the Sahara, but with preparation and knowledge, we can navigate through them." Once they ensured that everyone was safe and accounted for, Emma gathered them around the fire they had managed to start earlier. The warmth was comforting against the cool desert night that had set in after the storm. "Now that we've faced our first challenge together," Emma began, "let's talk about what we can learn from this experience." The students listened intently as she explained how nomadic tribes in the Sahara had adapted over centuries to survive in such extreme conditions. They learned to read the signs of nature, how to predict weather changes, and find water sources hidden beneath the sand. "Water is life," Emma emphasized. "In this vast desert, knowing where to look for moisture can mean the difference between life and death." With renewed determination, Emma decided it was time for a practical lesson on finding water in the Sahara. "Tomorrow morning," she announced, "we'll explore some techniques for locating water sources." The next day dawned bright and hot as they prepared for their expedition into the dunes. Emma led her classmates across the undulating sands, pointing out signs of vegetation, small patches of green that hinted at hidden moisture below. "Look for signs like these," she instructed, kneeling beside a cluster of hardy plants. "Where there's plant life, there's often water nearby." The students followed her lead, digging into the sand where she indicated. After some effort, they struck damp earth, a small victory that filled them with excitement. "See, it's all about perseverance." Emma cheered as they unearthed a small pool of water that had collected beneath the surface. Clore scooped up some water in his hands and took a cautious sip. "It tastes earthy," he remarked with a grin. "That's because it is," Emma laughed. "But it's also essential for survival out here." As they continued their exploration, Emma taught them how to identify animal tracks in the sand, another vital skill for understanding wildlife behavior in this environment. "Tracking animals can lead us to water sources or food," she explained. "Many creatures have adapted to this harsh climate and know where to find resources." After hours of practice under the scorching sun, they returned to their rocky shelter feeling accomplished yet exhausted. Emma prepared a simple meal using some dried fruits and nuts they had brought along while sharing stories about her own experiences with desert survival. As night fell once more over the Sahara, Emma gathered everyone around a roaring fire. The stars twinkled overhead like diamonds scattered across velvet fabric, a breathtaking sight that momentarily distracted them from their fatigue. "Tonight," Emma said, "let's talk about another critical aspect of survival: teamwork." She recounted tales from her own adventures where collaboration had been key to overcoming challenges, how friends had helped her navigate treacherous terrains or find food when resources were scarce. "Out here," she continued earnestly, "it's not just about individual skills. It's about relying on each other and working together." The students nodded thoughtfully as they reflected on their own experiences during this expedition, how they had supported one another through challenges like last night's sandstorm or finding water today. Suddenly, Alara raised her hand excitedly. "What if we create a team challenge? We could work together to find food or build something." Emma beamed at her enthusiasm. "That's an excellent idea. Tomorrow we can split into teams and see who can find edible plants or build a more effective shelter using natural materials." The group buzzed with excitement at this prospect, their camaraderie solidifying further as they discussed strategies for their upcoming challenge. As sleep overtook them once again beneath a blanket of stars shimmering brightly above, the students felt an unbreakable bond forming through shared experiences amidst nature's beauty and challenges alike. The next day dawned with renewed energy as teams formed for their challenge, each group eager to showcase what they had learned during their time in the Sahara Desert. Emma assigned each team specific tasks. One group would search for edible plants while another focused on building shelters using available resources nearby. "Remember," she reminded them before they set off, "communication is key. Work together and share your findings." The students dispersed across the dunes, some venturing towards areas with more vegetation, while others scored rocky outcrops for potential shelter materials. Emma watched them with pride as they applied everything she had taught them thus far. It was rewarding to see how quickly they were adapting to their environment. After several hours of exploration and teamwork, The groups reconvened back at their rocky shelter to share what they had discovered. "We found these," Clore exclaimed triumphantly as he held up several small cacti adorned with spines, but bursting with moisture inside. "And we built this," another student chimed in proudly, pointing toward a makeshift shelter constructed from branches and large leaves woven together skillfully. Emma clapped her hands together excitedly, her heart swelling with pride at their accomplishments. "You all did an incredible job. This is exactly what teamwork looks like."